Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're enjoying your time here and gaining valuable insights at the Speaker Forum here at Realty On Expo 2025. Our next panel discussion, Tokenization versus Traditional Banking, the Future of Real Estate Investment, dives right into the heart of innovation. As blockchain technology continues to transform the financial landscape, tokenization is quickly emerging as a game changer in the world of real estate investment. To lead this forward-looking conversation, please welcome to the stage Mr. George Agathangelou, Chief Operating Officer at IPMB, who will also introduce his fellow panelists. Dear speakers, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. My name is George Agathangelou, and I am the COO of IPMB, International Precious Metals Bullion. We are a real-world asset project tokenizing gold. Welcome aboard the Realty On Expo 2025. I hope that you enjoyed your meal and hopefully you're not feeling very sleepy right now. We will be discussing all about tokenization versus traditional banking, the future of real estate investment. I will be moderating this panel and I'm sure it's going to be a very successful session. We'll have some useful details about today's sessions and the content. Our goal is to provide some very actionable insight and data and some outlook into what the future holds for the industry. So let's start off with doing some introductions. So I mentioned I'm the COO of IPMB. We are the world's first vertically integrated gold tokenization project. I have served as an executive for over 16 years in regulated financial markets, and I have over a decade of experience in Bitcoin. I have a very strong focus into real-world asset tokenization, and I am an advocate for proof of work, consensus mechanism, Austrian economics, and sound money principles. Together with us is Mr. Zoran Radonovic. He's based in Cyprus. He serves as the CEO and founder of BrainRock, a global neobanking and payments enterprise with offices in Toronto, Cyprus, and London. Also in Czech Republic, in Switzerland, and Dubai. With over 2 decades of experience in the financial sector, Zoran has navigated pivotal roles at Link Consultants, Directna Bankna, Zepter Bank, and Martin Capital Partners. Holding a BA in business management, Zoran brings a pragmatic skill set to the forefront, specializing in financial services, neobanking, and payment solutions. His wealth of industry insights, cultivated through hands-on experience, plays a pivotal role in steering BrainRock towards success in the dynamic realm of payments. Then we have Sergey Ivanov. He's the CEO and founder of Alma. It is a proptech company with over 1 million square meters of real estate on its platform. Prior to Alma, Sergey has held managerial positions at CBRE, Wormouth Asset Management, and various investment funds. Alma collaborates with top-tier real estate developers and property management companies, providing cutting-edge real estate portfolio management solutions. The company adapts and integrates the latest technologies, including tokenization and crypto payments, to drive innovation in the industry. Sergey is also a member of the Cyprus PropTech Working Group and the Dubai PropTech Business Group. Then we have Oren Abiri. He's the director of the corporate division at xbo.com, which is a regulated digital asset exchange offering crypto-friendly banking and payment solutions. With a strong background in crypto finance, Oren leads XBO's B2B operations, specializing in liquidity solutions, institutional partnerships, and compliance-driven financial services. At XBO, he oversees and bridges the gap between traditional finance and blockchain-based assets. His expertise lies in helping businesses integrate crypto solutions efficiently while navigating regulatory landscapes. Oren has played a key role in positioning XPO as a liquidity provider, supporting corporate clients in optimizing costs within the digital asset ecosystem. Passionate about innovation, he actively explores how tokenization is reshaping finance from payments to real estate investment. As a panelist, Oren brings a strategic perspective on the intersection of crypto, banking, and tokenized assets, offering insights into the future of digital finance. Lastly, we have Michael Pelosi. He is the senior legal counsel of Elias Neocleus & Company, LLC. Michael has over 29 years of experience advising international corporate clients and government departments in complex commercial and cross-border transactions, international arbitrations and litigations relating to financial instruments, investment agreements, infrastructure and construction projects, joint venture projects, real estate development and financing, corporate governance, and regulatory investigations. Michael has advised and guided multinationals and corporates from a diverse range of industries, including financial services, construction, energy and infrastructure, mining, manufacturing, telecommunications, insurance, and hospitality. During his 5-year appointment as a senior lawyer in enforcement with the Australian Securities and Investments Commission, Michael investigated and prosecuted a number of high-profile company directors, managers, auditors, and liquidators for offenses relating to corporate fraud, breaches of directors' duties, financial market manipulation, stock market listing breaches, insider trading, and fraudulent transactions, including a number of enforcement actions against fund managers and the promoters and management of collective investment funds. So, with that small introduction, we have some very spectacular speakers, I would say. I wanted to address the audience and ask who here has invested in real estate through traditional means of payments? Some hands. Has anyone else invested in real estate through tokenized platforms? I'm the only one. I see Pan is here. So we have 2 versus 3, 4, 5. Well, we're still the minority, gentlemen. Let's hope that we can change this after today's session. So let us start. We need to understand a little bit about the current real estate investing through both traditional and emerging systems. So if I can address Zoran, so how have you seen the evolution of neobanking and payment services impact real estate investors and their access to global markets?
Yeah, thank you very much for asking me this. Well, let me just give you the one statistic from 2024. In European Union and UK, 45% of ordinary payments are done by the financial institutions that are not banks. In 2022, and this is the statistics done by FCA and Bank of England, in 2022 was 25%. So we have many panels discussing comparison between the commercial traditional banking and what we call neo-banking. And you will see, guys, in a year or two, you're not going to have these kind of comparisons. You know, when Henry Ford showed up with the first car on a Times Square in New York, more than 100 years ago, back up. So people were standing at him on horses, and they were saying, what this guy is doing with this 4 wheels car when I can ride my horse whenever I want. Today, horses are for racing, for hobbies, yeah? And we cannot imagine our life without cars. So what was the question, George?
How do you see the evolution of neobanking and payment services impacting real estate?
Yes, yeah. So as a BrainRock, as most of you know, because we work together, We do a lot of escrows. We do a lot of projects related to the real estate. And that's it's not related to compliance now if you compare traditional banks to us. It's more related to the speed, the services, the products like 40 currency IBAN. So someone from Sweden can buy the property in Swedish crown, or someone can have the gold wallet. I died again. No, it's okay. Someone can have a wallet with gold and convert this gold into the currency and buy the real estate. So these are the services that have been started a couple of years ago, I think, if I'm right, and it's growing. It's organically growing. You won't see, let's say, in my case, that we advertise this anywhere, not even on our website. But I have to tell you that became like 20-30% of the total payments that we are doing today. So the market is growing by the needs, not by someone forcing us to use the product ourselves. That's my opinion.
Good. Do you also believe that traditional banking models are adapting fast enough to innovations like tokenized assets?
Look, I'm not going to speak about Cypriot banking. I will just say in general, in Europe, in the world, the banks, they have to first define among themselves why they are going to work, what they are doing, what is their job, and why. And that's where we are today. I think that I said everything about that.
I have another question towards Sergey. So what challenges in traditional real estate investing inspired you to incorporate tokenization and crypto payments into Alma's platform?
Thanks for inviting us, first of all, to be here. First of all, the panel is called Tokenization versus Traditional Banking. Who is winning? And the lack of the traditional banking on this stage is kind of the answer, I believe. And that's partially the answer to your question. So common sense and user experience and just efficiency is the answer, and it's easier to look at it through the numbers. When you are renting an apartment, if we're talking about real estate, or paying for anything online through payment gateway, in Cyprus it's JCC, globally it's like Stripe or whatever it is, company who is receiving the payment is being charged with from 1.5 to 5%, depending on the region, for just transaction. In real estate business, rental management companies like Moving Doors in Cyprus or Blue Ground globally, they live on a margin of 18-20%. If you are living on a margin of 20% and you're giving up 5% for transaction fee, that's insane. If you are just switching from fiat payment to crypto payment, where the charges depending on a volume are below 1%, it's just common sense to go from traditional payment to crypto. There's no more clear answer to that. That's part of the question. Second, about the tokenization and the tokenization real estate sales. First of all, I think there is still no consensus what tokenization of real estate is. And to my point, I would say, first of all, there's no legal clarity depending on the region where it is. And it's even worse with people understanding that. But in the region where it's already applicable or it's announced that it's working, if we look at it to the first principle, it's just another sales channel for real estate developers. If you are, for instance, in Dubai, where I believe the leader of the market, you would like to invest into real estate because these days it's pretty attractive to have 7%, 8% rental revenue, 15, 30 if you're lucky, capital gain, you would like to invest into it. But you might not have the money for the whole property. And you are not, for different reasons, able to get the mortgage, but you would like to be still part of it. So tokenization is coming as a tool to invest into real estate, and for real estate developers, it's just another extra sales channel. that's basically it. So answering to a question, common sense, market demand, and efficiency is moving there.
I absolutely agree with you, and I also agree with what Zoran said when it comes to horses and cars. I feel that tokenization is the email, and that traditional real estate is the mailbox, let's say. When you go to the post office to send something instead of just sending it via the internet. And when it comes to tokenization, for me personally, I had like a very small investment amount, and I was looking into real estate properties. I couldn't afford, a whole house. I couldn't afford a whole apartment. However, I could afford a small token of a property in Florida. So I was able to buy a token. I just did it for the test, just for the learning curve, and I invested around 50 euros back then. I'm still getting the rent in my wallet every single week, and I don't even have, the seed phrase anymore. So it's a little bit funny, but I see the emails coming in, and I see the rent that I have accrued over the years, and I'm like, okay, so that is like a wake-up moment for me specifically.
I think, yes, that's part of it, and but that's not only it. Being able to invest with small amount is pretty good, but there's another part, and the thing is, if you don't have the right passport and you would like to buy a property, let's say here in Cyprus, good luck with money transfer. I'm Sergey Ivanov from Russia. I'm a good guy, not trying to do anything wrong, but every year I'm hustling with the current bank account just being kept operating, and that's insane. So QAC is another story about it, and that's a big issue. I think Michael will maybe talk more about it, but just simplicity of the transaction is a huge part of it, not only just being able to buy a small portion. So there are many points on this regard, depending from what perspective you are looking at it.
Absolutely. I mean, the paperwork, the bureaucracy, compared to just signing a transaction with your wallet, it goes a long way. Can I ask you, what has been the response from developers and property managers when introducing these tokenized models to them?
The real estate industry is quite conservative generally, and if you are trying to promote it, 90% again of the audience will be connecting tokenization, crypto, scam, no. But the 10% who are I don't want to say more educated, but just keep an eye on what's happening and see the opportunity, are looking at it as an extra source of sales, as an extra source of project financing. If you're a real estate developer and you would like to finance your project in a bank, again, good luck to go to a bank and get the loan. As an extra option, you can build a financial instrument backed by your real estate asset and sell it for tokenization. So that's becoming an alternative scenario to banking financing, and the guys, the developers who got it, they are looking for technical solutions to help them to proceed with this. And that's why there is a huge gap between those developers or real estate players who are on track and those who are still printing papers.
Do you think it's a matter of time for the new generation of real estate developers, the ones that are technology native, to come in order to change this?
Yes. And I think we don't observe something special. It's just a new technology helping to solve all problems, to transfer the money, to buy the properties, to do the investments. And on the open markets, competitions will help. The ones who are behind will just be out of the market in some time. And that's it.
I think it's a matter of adapting or dying in the end of the day. I'm going to move over to Oren. So if I may ask, from a liquidity perspective, how does tokenization improve the real estate investment process compared to traditional finance?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for being here. And the answer is simple. It's efficiency and speed. So basically today, like everybody mentioned here before, in order to perform a transaction from a real estate perspective, you have the legal and the banking and everything. And the current setup that we have, the traditional banking, is very slow. No offense to anyone, but it's very slow. And it takes time for them to adapt. So moving to, let's call it the new age of crypto solutions or tokenization will give you the ability for efficiency and speed when it comes to do the same thing with traditional banking today.
Absolutely. Well, from my own personal experience, I mean, if I want to move money during the weekend, tough luck, you need to wait. However, if I just want to move crypto, I just need to wait, I don't know, 10 minutes on the blockchain network, and it's done, and nobody can stop it. So, I don't know, I mean, it's a huge gap there. Are institutional players actively engaging in tokenized real estate, or are we still very early?
It's a very good question, because every day I'm getting this question. So, no, they're not. We need to remember that banking has been around for many years in many forms. So we're now looking to move a mountain or a very big giant from what they're used to, what they know, what they've been improving for many years, and they're very rooted down to, their roots are in the ground, and it's very hard to move them. What traditional institutions and banks doing today, they're like, they're coming to the bar, but they don't drink anything. So they're looking from the side. They're trying to understand what is happening. And some institutions will be actively investing or participating with new tech companies, which are involved in tokenization, and they want to see how it works. So at the moment, they're just bystanders. They're very afraid of it. As Sergey mentioned, crypto are considered to be fraud, not clear, I don't know what to do. Every time somebody here talks to me and I tell them we have a license, we're regulated in multiple countries across the globe, they're like, what? You have a license? What do you, so, you know, that's the way it is. So to answer the question, they're just at the moment, unfortunately, they're just, you know, trying a little bit, small tastes.
Testing the waters. I'll move over to Mr. Michael for the legal side of the discussion. So, Mr. Michael, to what extent do existing legal frameworks in the European Union and Cyprus accommodate this tokenized real estate?
Okay, with the introduction of MiCA, where the EU, Cyprus, is taking its first steps into setting a legal framework for tokenization. As Sergey said, unfortunately, what is tokenized real estate? We need to look at that in more detail. It's not clear. As I said, there's two different areas. The tokenizing of the ownership and the transfer of the real estate, the building itself, the land, and then the tokenization of the funding of the project, as we've heard some panel members say. Tokenization of the land and the actual real estate and the transfer of that, we haven't moved, and I don't see us moving anytime soon. Any discussion about that kind of tokenization needs to understand the fundamentals of what land is and why we have the system we have. Land is fundamental to any state. You cannot have it out in the open. Governments must control who owns the land, what the land is used for, and how it's transferred. You can't have a hostile foreign government owning land around one of your military bases. It's got to be controlled. Governments have to be able to reclaim land when they need it for infrastructure projects, hospitals, roads, etc. This is why we have a centralized land registry. In most countries, that's how it's done. The land registry controls who owns it, what it's used for, and how it's transferred. Any discussion of tokenizing that process cannot be done without the involvement of the government and the land registry. The land registry has to be on board, the government has to be on board, they have to set up the systems to allow that. here in Cyprus, I can't see that happening anytime soon. Let's be honest. Here in Cyprus, to transfer land, you still have to go to the land registry with your title deeds, both you and the buyer, and hand it over and do it in person. You can't even do it online. The other aspect is the tokenization of the economic interests and benefits in the property, which we've heard a bit about today. This we have had a lot of movement on. MiCA goes a long way to setting a framework for this. It's a means by which real estate companies, property developers can raise funds to fund their projects. You heard Sergey say, we can sell financial instruments in these projects. And this is what MiCA and the system is trying to do. Now, MiCA has come in and said crypto assets are governed by MiCA, which is fine, that's great. However, financial instruments and other instruments that are currently already governed are not governed by MiCA. And they asked ESMA to put in place some guidance on what is a financial instrument and what would be governed by MiCA. Financial instruments are the usual shares, bonds, derivatives, etc., etc. So ESMA has issued this guidance, and it goes a long way to trying to explain what should be governed by the current legislation in financial services, MiFID, MAR, Solvency II, all those laws that we already have in place, which govern how capital markets, etc., work, and what should be governed by MiFID. Unfortunately, we're only at the beginning, and there's not a lot of clarity.
It seems to me that the regulators just took the MiFID law, the Markets in Financial Instruments Directive, and they just converted it into the so-called MiCAR. When I think about real estate tokens, I'm thinking about securities in the end of the day, whether you are tokenizing the asset or whether you are tokenizing the loan. I still want to believe that the state can act as a referee, and you can still have all these centralized ledgers in which they are, let's say, approving the transactions in the end of the day. So it's sort of a permission blockchain in a way, and that all of this transformation would eliminate the time consumed when you're dealing with real estate. So yeah, I would agree with you, there's still a long way to go, but I am optimistic.
There is. It's, as you said, it's the same. And this is what MiCA says, and it says it clearly. It doesn't matter how you issue those securities, those financial instruments, whether it's in paper or whether it's on the blockchain, you treat them the same. And the wording they use in MiCA is same activities, same risks, same rules. So even if you issue a share in a product by paper, or whether you issue it on a DLT using the blockchain, you treat it the same. So it doesn't fall under MiCA because it's a share. And we already have laws in place to deal with how you issue shares. So regardless, if the token is the same as a share, you treat it as a share. And that's what MiCA says. So yes, you're right, it's basically saying use MiFID wherever you can, and if it's not MiFID, then you're under MiCA.
I think that's a little bit lazy from our politicians, but anyway, let's move on. Guys, could you maybe share a success story or a practical example where tokenization clearly outperformed a traditional model? Can you go?
Yeah, well, first, I fully agree with what Michael was saying, and it's just about the success story. I'll give you one example in one continent and one example in the other continent. So in Dubai, the Land Registry Office, the DLT, is heavily involved in tokenization. By saying tokenization, guys, I just want to stress out, doesn't have to do anything with crypto. Tokenization doesn't have to touch crypto as such, you know. So, as Michael was mentioning and Sergey, in Dubai we had the regulator VARA, we had the Land Registry Office in Dubai called DLD, okay? And we had the company that is actually tokenizing the building. I just want to tell you that in Dubai, from the moment you sign the sales purchasing agreement to buy the property, to the moment you have title deeds on your WhatsApp, it's between 5 and 8.5 minutes. 9.
Wow.
Okay. So we were just facilitating the transaction. So we are not the platform that is operating tokenization. So from the moment that tokens or shares were submitted to the DLD, to the Land Registry Office, who was engaged in creating the legislation together with the VARA, to the moment that funds were cleared, if we say that took 5 to 10 minutes for the admin work, it took 15 to 20 minutes for the settlement. I'll give you other continent. It's, maybe you heard of this continent. It's History Channel called Europe, where you have no regulation in place. We talk about the South France. No land registry office. Imagine in France you go to someone and you explain tokenization. I mean, guys, you know, they still have a notary. You have to go by foot and sign the document, yeah? But we have the Luxembourg structure behind that is issuing tokens, and SPV, who is actual owner of the project, of the property, whereby the Luxembourg use this advantage of, I would not say black, but gray area in legislation where we don't know if is how we're going to do it, where basically also was very fast. It was not more than 3-4 days. What I have to say for Europe is extremely fast. I'm once again saying that Luxembourg and Dubai had nothing to do with crypto. Actually, in Luxembourg, we also had the IC number as well. So the SPV had an IC number. So you could buy by purchasing the tokens through IC number. Okay, and crypto was not involved at all, you know. So these are the two sample cases showing in the, I would not say that Dubai is 100% regulated, but in a regulated framework, how it works, and how it works in less regulated framework or not regulated framework like in Europe. There is a way to do it. What is good for you, developers and investors, imagine in year 2-3 years from now, you don't go to the bank to beg them for project financing. Imagine you announce your project and you start tokenizing floors. I bought the whole floor.
Tokenizing hotel rooms.
Hotels. Imagine that. And it's possible. Because as George said, not everyone can afford the loan, and not everyone can afford the full apartment. But maybe I have 20,000 euros, maybe I would like to be part of it. Maybe on these 20,000 euros, when you finish your building, I'm gonna get 5,000 income. Not bad for 12, 24 months. And also I'm happy, I'm secure, because you know, you backed up your token with the real estate asset. So that's the two stories.
That was so insightful. It seems like in Dubai they're driving cars, and in Europe we're still riding the horses.
In Europe we also have one fact. Beside History Channel, we are now merging with Animal Planet. So what Sergey was saying about coming from certain countries, we are becoming Animal Planet, you know. So these two channels will have a better marketing reach, you know.
Oren, I would like to make the same question to you. Can you share a success story or a practical example where tokenization is outperforming the traditional model?
From XBR perspective, where I work, we're an exchange, okay, in its core basic. So that means we don't have, or we don't actively participate in any tokenization projects. What we do facilitate the, let's put it, the virtual world and the banking world together. So we're, in a way, the middleman. So we need to talk to a bank and allow him to accept fiat and tell him it's all good, it's fine, it came from a right source or whatever. And then we're able to accept virtual currencies, crypto, of course.
Okay, let me rephrase. In terms of processing times, how do you compare?
So faster, like a split of a second. So instead of waiting and waiting, and we need this doc and this doc and this document and this question and answer this, it's like 4.5 million, 45 million just goes in 2 seconds from one wallet to another.
Sergey, over to you. Can you share a success story or a...
If you follow the topic in the media, there's a fun fact. Every month, one big company comes up and saying, we will tokenize 1 billion of real estate. We'll tokenize 2 billion of real estate. Damak did it recently in January. But when you go deeper into details, it hasn't been done yet. And the fun fact is, the companies who are announcing they're doing it, in reality, they didn't do it. The ones who are really doing it, they don't announce it. And we work with some interesting cases who did it properly with legal structure, with checking how to do it properly, not to be punished later on by regulations. But because there is no real clarity, or it's kind of still being taken as a shady things, some real examples where it's happening are not being published, let's say. And answering to your specific question, yes, we know cases where economic value of a property was tokenized and successfully sold, and it reached the goal both for investors and the sellers. We know the real estate developers in Dubai who did tokenized bonds, and yes, they did it with pretty good amount of money. So there are cases, it's happening, but because there is no real practice being accepted by perception of the market and regulations, it's still on this stage where it's happening, but very carefully. And everybody is still expecting how it will be preceded by regulations. When we talked to regulations regarding the comparison of the systems, there's a good saying by one person who is saying that in the Middle East, every government is saying we're doing it, we're pro-crypto, we're pro-tokenization, but the legislation is still not there yet. Whereas in Europe, MiCA and the whole regulation is already here, but the government is not kind of pro-crypto or pro-tokenization. And that's why everybody is kind of waiting for the moves. And it's a very interesting situation. But the fun fact is, it's happening.
Absolutely, I would agree with that. I'm just being a little bit conscious of the time because we have already covered most of the, let's say, time. The next question goes to, and how would you say that investor confidence built in tokenized assets, especially around this regulation, is this something that we should expect it to be mainstream one day? And what would it take for that to happen?
Yeah, definitely. Anybody who thinks we're not moving to a digitized world is crazy. Of course we are. And with MiCA and with this guidance that's been issued that you can issue financial instruments on a DLT, go ahead, it's fine. Esma has said, this is what we want, we're happy for you to do it. Issue it on the DLT, you're under current regulations. The same laws that apply to issuing financial instruments at present in paper form or in whatever form we issue apply to tokens. And that's great, that's wonderful. We are moving there, but it's going to take time because this only just came in, we're talking the end of last year. The guidance has been issued by ESMA to define how you classify each token you issue. You want to fund a project, you create a token to give certain rights and benefits to the token holder. What is included in that token you have to look at and say, okay, what is this token? Is it a share? Is it a bond? Is it a financial instrument? Is it under MiCA? If it doesn't fall under any of the current categories, then you fall under MiCA and you have to do the MiCA process. Funnily enough, that seems to be the most clear way to go under MiCA, because if it's a financial instrument, they say, ESMA has said, you're under the current legislation, MiFID, whatever, all the legislation that's in place. That legislation was put in place without any concept of tokens, okay? It doesn't accommodate for tokens. We're trying to retrofit tokens into legislation that didn't contemplate it. And I think the easiest way to put this is an example. If you want to issue a share, you can tokenize the share. Go right ahead, tokenize the share. And issue it under the current legislation, all good. An SPV issuing a share in Cyprus is under the company's law. The company's law says, for every share, within 2 months you must issue a share certificate. Every share you issue has to be registered in your share register. The share register must be kept at the registered office of the company. To transfer that share, the company must receive an instrument of transfer. You cannot transfer without it. All these things don't accommodate in a token world.
Yes, like we're trying to make it fit into the old way of thinking.
So yes, if you want to issue, we have to satisfy those old laws. And how do you do that? Okay, you build into the token a smart contract way of automatically updating the register, of issuing the company with an instrument of transfer when it's transferred. There are solutions. France seems to have moved the quickest in this, funnily enough. France, I understand, has passed legislation that says you can issue shares, digital shares, you can issue them, and they can be recorded on the DLT and issued on the DLT, and you don't need, in that instance, you don't need to have a central register for the company. They're the sorts of things that have to happen, and if you go across the whole gambit of financial service legislation, it has to happen in a lot of different areas in order for tokens that are issued as financial instruments to comply with that old legislation.
Thank you so much, Michael. Guys, just to adhere with the timeline of the session, I'm going to address you one last question, and that would be, what is the one piece of advice that you have for regulators, investors, or developers entering the space? Briefly, please, because we are out of time. I would start with Sergey, then move over to Oren, and lastly, Zoran.
Short answer to your question is communicate.
What was that, sorry?
Communicate.
Communicate.
Regulators, developers, investors should communicate. Because right now, in some areas, again, like in Dubai, it's being pushed from the top, and that's why communication is happening very actively. In Europe or some other regions, it's the market or specific companies who are trying to push the topic. Regulators are being reluctant, and there is no communication, and that's why it's being slow. We're just moving to different schemes. So short answer to a question is communicate.
Thank you so much. Oren, over to you.
In short, be brave, no fear. The change is already here, and it's been here, and it's happening. And if our dear friends in ESMA and Europe decided to have the MiCA regulation, that means it's already happening. And if you're not on the train, you already missed it. So tokenization is the future, for sure. And we should be brave, no fear, grab it with two hands. Obviously, and most important, communicate between the different bodies, because all people need to talk to young people, otherwise it will never happen.
Well said. Zoran, any last remark?
Yeah, I mean, I think that in the last couple of years we somehow switched the roles. I agree with Sergey that we should communicate, and I fully agree with Michael about the example of South France. You know, I mean, these guys, they can create a digital app for COVID in 2 days. They cannot create a digital register of properties for hundreds of years, you know. So, but at the end, first I would like to invite you all 6 o'clock on the networking panel. It's a cocktail party with jazz music. And to tell you just at the end to say that, yes, communicate, as Sergey mentioned, but also, please bear in mind, the governments are working for us. We don't work for governments. And nobody told them this. When they have elections, they promise everything that they will not do. I think the time is passing very fast. 40 years ago, one car producer was producing 1 car every 4 years. Today, car producers are manufacturing 4 cars every year. And they are still in the mood of 1 car every 4 years. So, besides communicate, change them. Change them every 6 months until someone who knows who to hire to help or how to do the job will not, you see, the government, will not come and do the job properly because we don't have time. Guys, I'm 53, you know. I mean, I don't have time for them. And just yesterday I was 21. So what I'm saying is I fully agree. These kind of panels will help, even though they don't have a clue that we have a panel. But still, as you as a developer, as investors, as George and the guys mentioned to you, believe in this stuff. You will wake up 3 years from now, and guys, you won't go to the bank anymore for money. Believe me, like crypto show up in 2008 after the Lehman crisis, and nobody believed people were spending bitcoins for pizza. Look where the crypto is today. Believe in this, because in 3 years from now, you're not going to need these bankers. You will be able to fundraise money for your projects by issuing tokens. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. That was brilliant, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your insights. And hope to see you all later on and we can discuss a little bit more. Thank you.